In today's video, there will be 4 stories of how small details ruined a relationship. Personally, I think that all these little things were not worth the breakup. Everything could have been easily fixed. I want you to listen to these stories too, it's funny.
I met a guy on Tinder. We met in a restaurant. He's cute, nice and well dressed. I was interested in talking to him, he was smart. He liked me too. In short, it was quite pleasant to spend time with him. On the second date, he invited me to an event. He remembered some of my interests and invited me considering that I should like it. And he guessed. Again, it was a beautiful evening. He invited me to his place, I said yes. We had some more wine at his place and I jumped him myself. It was a great night, it was great. I'm not being sly, I haven't had such a good night in 3 years. In the morning, he went into the kitchen to make us breakfast. And I lay there thinking I was just lucky to have met such a great guy. He's handsome, interesting, I feel very comfortable with him. We just had a wonderful night. After all, he has a nice house, yes, he is perfect. But then I saw our clothes scattered on the floor in a fit of passion. His white socks, with almost black soles and a hard pad where his toes should be. You know, if you put those socks on the floor on the sole, I don't think they'll fall off, they'll stay in place, like shoes. Then his underwear. Dark underwear. But even the dark material shows a smudge on the front and even worse, a smudge on the back. Boy, how long has it been since you changed all this? I was so disgusted by this sight that I immediately got ready and ran away. He didn't even notice. I listened to him rattling around in the kitchen making us breakfast. I called a cab from the next block and turned my phone off. Of course, when I turned my phone back on, I saw that he had managed to call me 100 times and text me 200 times. He's been calling me nonstop for 3 days now, messages coming one after another. I remember how great it was with him, and I'm going to answer. But his socks and panties with blots come back to my mind. I don't know, I'm more likely to give up, tell him some nonsense, and he'll come running to me at the same moment. But I'll give up later, first I need to relive the memory of his underpants. I must be a complete fool, I think I'm going to vomit. As I was writing this I remembered those blots again.
Story 2. Hi, I dated a guy for about a month. We went on a few dates without continuing. And then we decided to go to the lake with him out of town for the weekend. We booked a nice little house. It was clear to both of us that we were going to have sex on this date. He picked me up early in the morning. The drive to the lake was supposed to take about 3 hours. I didn't get any sleep at all. I spent half the night getting ready, packing my backpack, and I even spent an hour trying on underwear in front of the mirror. I couldn't decide which one looked best on me. Anyway, I was very determined. I decided that I would sit in the back seat and take a nap on the way, so as not to be completely sleepy on such an important day for us. I woke up and looked at my watch. We had only been driving for about 40 minutes. Too bad, I thought I was going to sleep longer, and I was about to ask the guy to stop so I could move in closer to him. But I heard this sound. It was a loud, long, lingering chug. The guy was eating some kind of candy or gum, and he was making it so uncomfortable that I cringed. No, it wasn't even a chug. I don't even know what to compare that sound to. It was like the trill of an ugly giant bird, or not a bird, the rhinoceros. Although I don't know what sounds rhinos make, and I probably don't want to know. That sound reverberated in my head in little explosions. When you're going 100 miles an hour and you get the brake on the odometer, the needle goes from 100 to 0 fast. So in my head, all the enthusiasm and desire for our trip was rapidly hurtling towards 0. I didn't even notice how I screamed. The guy freaked out and twitched. I yelled again, but this time for him to stop. It was only in my head that the odometer arrow had dropped to 0, and our car was still going. He stopped. He was very surprised and scared. I got out of the car and said a bunch of mean things to him. And by the way, I called him a rhinoceros. I guess I need to Google what sounds a rhinoceros makes and compare them. Of course he was very surprised. He had no idea what was wrong with me. We argued for another 5 minutes until I threatened to call the police. He left. I called a cab and went home. By the way, the cab was very expensive. It seemed to me that the cab driver was going to take out a candy and I would hear that sound again. The guy told everyone that I was crazy and blocked me everywhere, and I am very funny to remember it all. It would be great if you liked our stories, and if you would like to give us your generous likes, that would be just great. Story 3.
I met a girl at a birthday party for my brother's wife. There were a bunch of people there who didn't know each other, and she and I just sat next to each other. We got to talking. We had fun talking. We like each other. A few days later, we agreed to go on a picnic in the city park. She said she would make the sandwiches, and I took it upon myself to make good coffee. We ate and sat and talked for a long time. She was wearing a beautiful lightweight dress. It looked very nice on her, and I even complimented her on how good she looked. At some point, she got very comfortable and put her hands behind her head, and I saw her armpits. They were hairy. Too hairy, even. I have shorter hair on my head. She caught my gaze and realized what I was paying attention to. She looked at me questioningly, but I remained silent. I didn't comment on what I saw. I don't know if it's called maybe body positive or something else. I've never really thought about that kind of stuff. Perhaps it is a way of self-expression or protest. I do not know. I honestly do not care why she grew such bushes under her arms. The point is that such a length can't be accidental. And combined with a dress where her armpits are exposed and visible, she's clearly showing it off. She wants to say something to those around her. I realized that if I asked her to shave it off in the future, she would probably refuse, and she would also be offended that I didn't understand her delicate mental organization. The thing is, I can't accept something like that. I do not want to see my girlfriend's armpit hair. By the way, we don't know yet. Maybe the hair is still there somewhere else. That day we sat and went our separate ways, but I decided not to meet again. She herself took the initiative to write me 2 more messages. I referred to being busy. I don't know if she understood the reason or not. I think she did. I had a very eloquent look in my eye at the time. I wouldn't have brought it up anyway. I wouldn't want to have to listen to the piss in her head.
Story 4. I filed for divorce. Nobody understands why. My husband is normal about everything except one thing. He always doesn't finish his food. He leaves some little piece of food on his plate and stuffs it in the fridge, or a skillet with a quarter of a cutlet, a roll with a minuscule piece of sausage, works from home, eats 10 meals a day. By the time I get home from work, all meals, and there are a lot of them, are stuffed in the fridge. I've asked 100 times, well, throw the rest in the trash, put the plate in the dishwasher, or at least in the sink. Or at least collect all your leftovers in one plate. No, I'm tired of cleaning out the fridge every day, and he whines. Well, I would like to finish it. It may seem like a small thing to some, but I'm sick of it to the point where he can't talk me out of a divorce.
That's the kind of story we have today. If you've listened to the rest of these stories, tell us what you think of them in the comments. Thank you. I'll see you around.